So if we have a complete engine come in, like we've got one here, we bring it in there, and this was complete as it right out of the power plant. So we'll strip it all down to its basic element of just the block or the crankcase, clean it to a certain stage, do a whole bunch of inspection work on it, do laser alignment, check bores, everything, and make sure everything's okay. And now we're doing a hand clean, spot checking things, lapping some certain surface locations on it, and then we'll do a bunch of remeasuring, make sure it's okay, or if something has to get remachined, it will go up on here. And once that portion is done, then we'll wash it, and it'll have a final clean, and then we've got crankshaft ready to go, put back in it all the bearings and stuff, and build it all the way back up again, and then we'll paint it and ship it out. So we just got kind of stages of things. There's one that's in a different stage. One of the really big engines there that we're kind of a standstill on that's somewhat disassembled, but that's what we're jumping on actually next. But this is going to be a bit noisy in here, you know? Yeah. Okay, so we get basic disassembly zone. Stuff comes in, unload, disassemble. This card here we use for disassembly for cylinder heads and other, dirty items, basically. Things get stripped down, moved on to carts. We're gonna put cylinder heads and other components through a hot tank, jet washers, and dried off. And then they're gonna be setting up on carts so that we can move them to blast. Gabe's right now just blasting some of these cylinder head castings. There's a lot of parts that, everything gets disassembled down to its bare component. And then we're going to throw a bunch of, things that are worn out away. Everything that's going to get reconditioned kind of moves on. Once we move through there, they go back onto cart to get ready for the next stage, which would be into that room and then back here again. This is an air intercooler, or charge air intercooler for keeping the engine combustion air cooled. This big ultrasonic cleaner is pretty much it's its only use. That's what we bought this for. So we do these huge, this is a medium sized one, there's another bigger one, we do some small ones, do from all over the country for those. This machine over here is another blaster. It's called a slurry blaster. It uses water, air, and ceramic media. That's a finish blast, like the things that we want them to look beautiful or to do blending or other processes with it. So everything runs through that at the end before we're going to move on to do machining and or assembly. There's a little small washer here. Things come out of that. They go through the washer for a final clean. This is just basically a pressure washer station. Big ultrasonic machine. This is a hot tank. This here, big jet washer. This here is the slurry blaster. Another just a small jet washer for just clean parts. Everything that comes out of that gets hydro tested, anything that's before it gets painted, it's just going to run through that. It has just solely clean water and a very, very small amount of soap. This is our big shot blaster. It has stainless steel media in it. This is a downdraft station, filtered air, so you can work on components without breathing dust and such. There's another blaster over there. Here's a big surfacer. When we finish up in there, things are going to roll into here on carts, like you can see now. The first stage, when they come out of there, they're going to run over here to this induction heating machine. They'll run over here and get the seats removed. This is a big press for taking valve guides out. There's a couple of machining processes that could or could not go on with, depending on the cylinder head or the component we're doing. There's a weld table over there that some things we have to do some stitch welding to remove things. So there's welding and cutting tools and all that over there. There's another surfacer behind here that's kind of buried right now. That piece of equipment over there is a pressure tester for putting cylinder heads or whatever underneath the high pressure to test them. These are where we started over there. They got disassembled, went through the hot tank, the jet washer, then they went through blast, came in here, got the seats removed, guides removed, went back there to the downdraft table that I showed you. They're going to get prepped, deburred, and threads checked and all that. Then they're going to be run through the big stainless steel slurry blaster that I show you all the white media. When they come out, they're going to look like this, all beautiful and shiny like a piece of jewelry. Okay, they got new seats in them by this point in time. They're all blasted. Now they're going to the other part of the shop to get surfaced and get machine work done. That same cart of heads that we just saw in there these are those, but they haven't been. These have been machined now on the surface here. So this firing surface where the gasket is surfaced, they got machined here. These are all just going through and getting that done. This just big machining center, all kinds of things that could happen in there. That's where they come next. After they go through that flow there, they're going to end up here. And then they will go back on the cart and end up same pieces of heads here. So we're reaming the valve guides and finishing those here. And then they will end up here in this CNC seat cutting equipment. Another one here new one we haven't fired up yet. That's kind of it on the cylinder heads. That's not like the sweep through on cylinder heads. That's a cut. This stuff's usually going like probably later today. All this stuff will be running. So to see this going is really cool. Not many people have these. We got 2 of them. Stuff set up like that, machining center for doing that. A cylinder head come in or a box of 20. Right now we're doing, I think, 67 of those particular ones. The other stuff that would come in, turbochargers that come in. So here's one that's finished. So this comes in, same thing, up the end of the shop. Gonna get a little pre-clean, bring it over here, strip it down, then it goes end up back in the hot tank. It's all reconditioned, beautified, and then we're gonna ship it out. The process of that, there's all kinds of stuff, from the disassembly there to a lot of inspection, a bunch of lathe work that needs to be done to clean and measure components. The rotors will end up here on a balancer. They run at about 50,000 RPM, so we got to balance them really true before they're done. We do the crankshaft on here, we do the turbocharger rotors, water pumps, all kinds of stuff on there. This piece of equipment is a hone, a CNC hone for honing bores of things. On this, we're honing this big end of the connecting rod. And there's a fixture that goes in there that supports this and locks it down. And then we recondition all the connecting rods. The rest of the stuff here, Benjamin, a lot of it is, lathes and mills and very common machinery that you'd use in any machine shop. This thing over here is a big crack detection. So it uses EMF basically to detect cracks and things. So all the connecting rods, anything that's magnetic, that's in a sensitive spot, we run them through that to make sure there's no cracks. So that's what that thing's for. Like I said, we've got a number of lathes from big, medium, smaller, and smaller that are used for all kinds of making things or machining certain things, reconditioning on that end. There's more cleaning equipment. Like we've got like 3 or 4 ultrasonic machines, everything from the really big ones to medium-sized ones over here, bench stuff, small stuff. This is mostly for just the turbocharger stuff before we do an assembly. Make sure it's super clean. Once the heads and everything are to a point where they're going to get assembled and they get hydro tested over there and then ready for assembly, kind of wheel them over to this area here. We'll lay this all out with all new parts and conditioned stuff. And like these are some that are ready to be assembled, but this is we'll set up an assembly line and they run through here and then they end up on a cart and then we go down to paint. We got a paint booth down there and that's where everything gets painted. So this big machine is primarily for doing the crankcases of the block or other bigger components. It's very specialized, but pretty badass. These are just exchange components, all cylinder heads, water pumps, but lots of different cylinder heads and turbochargers that we own that are exchange cylinder heads. Like we'll send 20 heads out. They'll send us their 20 cores back that we keep it going. So that's some of it. Most of it's out already packaged up in crates. There's a lot of inventory. Yeah, so I mean, if they're on site and the engine's running, it's making power, and they don't want to be down for an extended period of time. They just need to be down. Okay, we got to do a top end or cylinder head change. They want to be able to just have the parts, put it on, and then send the cores back, and we'll recondition those. Like some of these 60 something is going through here our cord that we just got back. We could do the same thing with engine components. I bought complete engines so that we can show a block ready to go or something like that. Do the same thing with turbochargers and water pumps and all that stuff. The rest of the stuff here is just washers and, you know, like final washing, ultrasonic stuff. Coming to take some video of you. No. Yeah, so this is just a packing area. So we get everything in here, take the orders. Abby will cracks the whip and gives me a list of what's got to go to where and whatever, and we all try to make it happen. But we get a huge inventory here of stuff. I mean, here, upstairs, out there, in storage containers, lots of parts.
Better than the alternative. Empty shelves would not be good.
I do have some new shelves here. This is our thing we're doing now, is trying to rip all this stuff out. We got a whole new shelving system that's going in here. So we can get this stuff off the floor. Some of this stuff. You don't need a drafting table, do you?
I don't need anything.
Okay. What do we miss? Anything?
The office. Sure.
There's Abby. She runs the show. Lorna's in that little room there with the dog. Yeah. Yeah.